But I do think they're convincing. I think that people will believe this confection produced by Hollywood.
The bombshell didn't explode in a courtroom, it detonated in a sentence. The real story isn't over yet. That's what Tom Bower said, and suddenly the air around Meghan Markle and Prince Harry felt heavier, thicker, almost electric with unfinished business. Because when a man who already tore through royal corridors with a best-selling expos hints that he's not done, you don't hear closure, you hear escalation. And escalation is exactly what this feels like. Let's be honest, most people thought the Sussex saga had peaked. The interviews, the Netflix series, the memoir, the interviews about the interviews, the public tension, the silent royal stares, the icy balcony moments, the carefully worded palace responses. It felt like every card had already been thrown on the table. But according to Bower, that table hasn't even flipped yet.
But ever since Meghan left Britain and then did the Oprah Winfrey interview, it's been really poisonous.
Because what he's implying, carefully, deliberately, almost teasingly, is that the version of events the world believes might not be the final version. Not the full one. Not the uncomfortable one. And that's where things start to get dangerous. You see, Bower has built a reputation as someone who digs, not skims, not speculates casually, but digs. He interviews people others can't reach. He finds the former associates who won't go on camera but will talk off record. He follows paper trails. He cross-checks stories. He builds timelines. And now he's signaling that there's more. More context, more contradictions, more layers behind the glossy narrative. What does that mean?
Well, I actually believe that. And I always thought that Harry was lying when he said that he had the Queen's support.
It means the Sussex chapter may not be in its final act. It may be setting up for a second wave. And the timing is interesting, because right now, Meghan and Harry are navigating a delicate space. Publicly, they're branding, producing, appearing selectively, carefully managing optics. They've stepped back from explosive interviews. The messaging feels refined, polished, almost cautious. But Bower's statement cracks that polish. When he says the real story isn't over yet, it suggests something unresolved, something still unfolding, something that, in his view, hasn't been properly understood by the public. Is he referring to private tensions, professional fallout, business struggles, behind-the-scenes conflicts? He doesn't spell it out. And that's what makes it louder, because ambiguity creates imagination, and imagination fuels drama. Here's what makes this particularly volatile. Bower has consistently framed Meghan as strategic, ambitious, image-conscious, a woman who understood branding long before she entered palace gates. He has portrayed Harry as emotional, loyal, and deeply influenced by the people closest to him. That framing alone sparked global debate. Supporters called it unfair. Critics called it overdue honesty. But now, by saying the story isn't over, Bower is essentially telling the world, what you've seen so far is only the surface tension. And when someone implies there's pressure building beneath the surface, people start looking for cracks. So where could this unfinished story lead? Let's examine the climate. The Sussex brand has shifted. The early momentum of global sympathy after stepping down from royal duties has cooled into a more complex public perception. Their projects are scrutinized differently now. Partnerships are analyzed more closely. Headlines feel sharper. Hollywood once opened doors wide. Now the welcome feels conditional. And Bower has never shied away from suggesting that reputation, not royalty, determines longevity in that world. If insiders are talking, and Bower has built his career on insiders talking, then what he might be hinting at could involve professional alliances that didn't materialize the way the public expected. Streaming deals that underperformed, creative control tensions, advisors who exited quietly, friends who distance themselves discreetly. No dramatic press conferences, no screaming headlines, just subtle shifts. Silence where there used to be synergy. Because in elite circles, rejection isn't loud. It's subtle. It's invitations that don't come. It's projects that stall. It's polite distance. And if Bower is preparing to outline how those subtle shifts unfolded, then this isn't just royal drama, it's power dynamics. There's another layer here. Family. The royal rift has never fully healed. Public appearances are rare. Joint statements are non-existent. The distance between California and London feels symbolic now, not just geographic. Bower has previously suggested that miscalculations were made, that the couple underestimated how public loyalty toward the monarchy would endure, that Diana's legacy could not simply be inherited, it had to be built. And that idea, legacy versus branding, sits at the center of the storm. Because if Bauer is suggesting that the real story isn't over, he may be hinting that the consequences of those early decisions are still playing out. You don't walk away from a centuries-old institution without ripple effects. Those ripples don't stop when the interview ends. They move through business deals, public opinion, media relationships, private friendships, reputation. And here's the thing about reputation. It's fragile. You can shape it, you can polish it, you can narrate it, but you can't completely control how others interpret it. Bauer's career has revolved around challenging narratives, not just repeating them. So when he implies that there's unfinished territory, it could mean he believes certain truths haven't surfaced publicly yet. Maybe conversations that contradict public claims. Maybe decisions made before announcements were crafted. Maybe internal disagreements that were smoothed over for cameras. He hasn't revealed specifics, and that restraint makes the statement sharper, because it feels deliberate, calculated, strategic, almost like he's signaling to sources now is the time. And here's the uncomfortable reality for Meghan and Harry. Whether you support them or criticize them, their lives are permanently intertwined with public storytelling. Every move becomes content. Every partnership becomes analysis. Every silence becomes speculation. If Bauer releases additional material, it won't exist in a vacuum. It will collide with existing narratives. It will reopen debates. It will force reassessment. And perhaps that's the point. Because controversy doesn't just damage reputations, it revives attention, and attention is currency. The Sussex story thrives on tension. Critics and supporters fuel it equally. Each new claim, each counterclaim, keeps the machine running. So when Bauer drops the line like the real story isn't over yet, he isn't just teasing content, he's reigniting a global conversation. And conversations have consequences, especially when they involve monarchy, media, money, and legacy. The question isn't whether drama will continue. The question is, who controls the next chapter? Will it be the Sussexes, carefully unveiling projects and shaping perception? Or will it be Bauer, presenting new angles, new testimonies, new interpretations that challenge everything again? Because if this becomes a second wave, if fresh claims surface, it won't just be about revisiting old wounds. It will be about reframing them. And reframing changes memory. Memory changes reputation. Reputation shapes legacy. And legacy is the one thing neither side can afford to lose control over. What Bauer understands, perhaps better than most commentators, is that unfinished stories are powerful. They create anticipation. They make audiences lean in. They suggest there's a curtain still partially drawn back. And right now, that curtain is moving. Slowly, deliberately, provocatively. The Sussex drama hasn't ended. It hasn't faded. It hasn't settled into quiet history. If Bauer is to be believed, it's evolving. And evolution in royal terms can be explosive. Because when someone like Tom Bauer hints that the story isn't finished, he isn't talking about recycled headlines or rehashed interviews. He's talking about consequences that haven't fully surfaced yet. He's talking about timing, about momentum, about what happens when narratives begin to collide with reality. And right now, reality is shifting. Let's talk about the quiet spaces, the ones cameras don't capture. The Sussex brand was once defined by defiance, by bold exits, by high-profile confessions, by statements that shook centuries of tradition. It was dramatic, it was disruptive, it was unforgettable. But disruption doesn't sustain itself forever. At some point, disruption has to turn into durability, and durability is harder. That's where Bauer's comment cuts deeper than it first appears. Because if the real story isn't over, it suggests that the consequences of those early decisions, the Oprah sit-down, the Netflix documentary, the memoir revelations, may still be unfolding behind the scenes. Publicly, things look curated, selective appearances, carefully timed launches, controlled messaging. But controversy has a long memory. Hollywood remembers, institutions remember, families remember, and reputations, especially royal-adjacent ones, don't reset easily. Bauer has consistently implied that Meghan is strategic, calculating in presentation, deeply aware of optics. He has painted Harry as emotionally driven, protective, willing to sever ties in the name of loyalty. Whether you agree or disagree with that framing, one thing is undeniable. The couple made irreversible choices. They stepped outside the institution. They told their story. They challenged the monarchy. And once you do that, there's no quiet return. So when Bauer suggests the story isn't done, some interpret it as a warning that additional testimonies may surface. Former allies, former staff, industry figures who stayed silent during the first wave, because silence is often temporary. people wait. They observe how public opinion moves. They gauge whether it's safe to speak. And if Bauer is preparing a follow-up narrative, he may be signaling that those voices are ready. That's where the tension intensifies. Imagine this scenario: insiders who felt sidelined during the early years stepping forward with their own recollections. Business associates offering context about negotiations that didn't go smoothly. Media collaborators revealing creative clashes that were diplomatically described as differences in vision, not explosive courtroom drama, but layered contradictions. Details that don't align perfectly with previous public statements. Nuances that complicate sympathy. Because the first chapter of Sussex independence was fueled by shock value. The second chapter is about sustainability, and sustainability invites scrutiny. There's also the question of financial architecture. The Sussexes left royal funding behind. They built a model around commercial partnerships, production deals, speaking engagements, publishing. That model depends on perception. If Bauer is hinting that more scrutiny is coming about deals, expectations, internal struggles, it could challenge that perception. Not legally, not catastrophically, but reputationally. And reputation is the cornerstone of influence. Influence drives partnerships. Partnerships drive leverage. Leverage drives opportunity. It's a delicate ecosystem. And ecosystems destabilize when credibility wobbles. Another layer: public fatigue. The global audience that once leaned forward with curiosity now leans back with analysis. Every move is weighed. Every interview is dissected. Every project is compared against promises made years ago. Bauer's message feeds that analysis. It tells the skeptical viewer, wait, there's more. It tells the loyal supporter, brace for impact. And it tells the industry watching quietly from boardrooms and studios, this narrative isn't settled. Unsettled narratives make corporations cautious. Caution slows momentum. Momentum, once slowed, is difficult to reignite. And here's the psychological angle that makes this even sharper: unfinished stories create anxiety. They create anticipation. They create a feeling that something unresolved could resurface at any moment. If you're Meghan and Harry, that means every new initiative launches under the shadow of potential counterclaims. Every public appearance exists alongside the possibility of fresh commentary from Bauer or others who share his perspective. It becomes a chessboard. Move, countermove, silence, hint, reveal, speculation. And beneath it all is the central question: who shapes legacy? The monarchy shapes legacy through tradition, through ceremony, through continuity. The Sussexes attempted to shape legacy through storytelling, through transparency, through personal narrative. But storytelling invites rebuttal, and Bauer has positioned himself as a rebuttal architect. His previous work framed Meghan's rise as intentional. It questioned childhood stories. It scrutinized friendships. It dissected strategic decisions. Now, by suggesting the story isn't over, he implies that additional layers of that strategy may surface. That doesn't mean scandal in the criminal sense. It means complexity, and complexity disrupts simplicity. The Sussex narrative has often centered around themes of liberation, empowerment, and self-determination. Bauer's framing challenges those themes by suggesting calculation, ambition, and misjudgment. Two competing interpretations. Two competing futures. If Bauer releases new material, interviews, documents, testimonies, it won't just reopen debate. It will force recalibration. Media outlets will revisit timelines. Commentators will reassess public statements. Supporters will defend. Critics will amplify. And the cycle renews. What makes this moment different from previous waves of controversy is maturity. The world is no longer shocked by Sussex headlines. It is analytical, measured, less emotional, more skeptical. So a second wave would land differently. It wouldn't detonate with surprise. It would seep in, gradually reshaping perception. And reshaped perception can be more powerful than explosive outrage. There's also the matter of internal strain. Public narratives often focus on external conflict, Meghan versus the press, Harry versus the palace, but sustained pressure affects private spaces too. When your life is dissected repeatedly, when books challenge your motives, when commentators question your authenticity, that weight accumulates. Bauer's hints suggest more accumulation, more chapters, more challenges. The deeper the drama goes, the harder it becomes to step away from it, because stepping away means surrendering narrative control. And narrative control has been central to the Sussex strategy from day one. They left the institution to tell their own story. Now, someone else is saying that story isn't complete. That's not just controversial, that's destabilizing. And yet, here's the twist. Controversy fuels relevance. Every new allegation keeps the couple in headlines. Every rebuttal sustains visibility. In modern celebrity culture, visibility is oxygen. So the paradox emerges. Does the second wave harm them, or does it extend their cultural footprint? Bauer may believe he's exposing unfinished truths. The Sussexes may view it as recycled antagonism. The public may see it as episodic drama. But drama, whether embraced or resisted, binds audience attention. And attention is powerful. The monarchy has weathered centuries of storms. The Sussexes are navigating their first independent decade. Two very different timelines. Two very different risk thresholds. If Bauer's upcoming revelations, whatever form they take, land with precision, they could redefine how this era is remembered. Not as a fairy tale, not as a rebellion, but as a collision between institution and ambition, between legacy and branding, between tradition and reinvention. And perhaps that's what he means when he says the real story isn't over. Because history doesn't conclude neatly. It evolves, it revises, it exposes layers only time reveals. Right now, the Sussex chapter sits in that in-between space. Not fresh enough to shock, not old enough to archive. Suspended, watched, waiting. And if Bauer pulls the curtain back again, it won't just be another headline. It will be a test of durability, a test of credibility, a test of whether the narrative crafted in California can withstand the counter-narratives built in Britain. The real story, according to him, is still unfolding. And unfolding stories don't whisper. They ripple. They unsettle. They deepen. The Sussex drama hasn't faded into history. It has matured into something more intricate, more strategic, more consequential. And if this truly is only the midpoint, if the unfinished chapters are still waiting, then what we've witnessed so far may have only been the opening act. The deeper storm, as Bauer suggests, may still be gathering, and when it arrives, it won't just revisit the past. It will redefine the future.